A lot of people hear the words native advertising and don't really understand what it means.
Sure.
Defining it is a problem. Give us your best definition.
Well, listen, you can ask 10 people what native advertising is, and they'll all tell you something different. So at Adiant, what we believe native advertising is any paid advertisement that takes on the look and feel of the user experience on a website.
Is that fair? Should there be advertising that takes on the look and feel of regular journalism? Shouldn't I know when you're selling me something?
Absolutely. Absolutely you should. And all native advertising should be labeled as advertisements or ad or something that is clear and conspicuous.
And where should they, and should that be in a
is
tiny...
a little bit oblivious. It's a little bit, so there's so many
ambiguous.
versions, ambiguous, thank you. There's so many versions of...
Sponsorship?
Of flowery language, let's say.
Some people say that native advertising is defined by the fact that it is produced in-house by the very same journalists or colleagues of those journalists who produce the quote-unquote real news. Do you agree with that?
That is one form of it. So so native advertising can take on the form of editorial content, or it can take on the form of news headlines, which is what we do. So 6 years ago, we created an ad unit called the News Bullet Ad Unit. People say banners are dead. Well, they're not dead. They've just been around a long time, and it's kind of the background of the internet, right? So, you know, when you first...
No longer as effective is the argument you would make,
exactly.
I guess.
So the click-through rates on display ads or banner ads have been reducing year over year.
Then what does News Bullet do? Because to me, when I read the word news, I don't think it should be an advertisement.
Well, the News Bullet is a thumbnail image plus a text, so it's set up to resemble a news headline. So if you read an article on a news website, when you get to the end of the article, we place a block of our ads there, and they are ads. They're everything from brand advertisers like American Express, Lending Tree like a direct response advertiser, or like Sports Illustrated and Time who are doing content marketing. But all of those are ads, and they have to be labeled as advertisement.
The truth of the matter is that native advertising of one form or another has been around pretty much as long as newspapers have.
100%.
That said, it has followed serious up and down cycles. Do you believe this time is different, or does it seem like there's more native advertising now just because we're at or approaching the peak of the cycle?
I think as far as online advertising for native advertising, we're still in our infancy. But I think the reason that it's become more popular now is because publishers are trying to generate revenue. And brands are trying to find better ways to engage with the consumer.
But there's more content. There's more quote-unquote legitimate content now than there's ever been before.
Right.
And there's more
bad content.
Advertising content than there's ever been before.
Right.
At some point, doesn't one crowd out the other?
There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise out there on the internet. There's a lot of people, Twitter and Facebook and blogs and everything, and so you
but that's not good for your business, right? If there's a lot of noise and it's hard for people to figure out what to read,
right,
then they're going to be distracted, and they're not necessarily going to read the sponsored content, native advertising, whatever you want to describe it as.
Well, consumers can choose to read whatever they want, right? So it's up to them to decide what they want to engage with, and it's up to the advertiser, and it's up to the publisher, and it's up to us as a digital media technology company to help facilitate that.
And what should the regulators be doing here?
The regulators should be making sure that companies are not misleading consumers. Not only is that bad practice and it hurts consumers for short-term gain, but it also doesn't work. It's bad for advertisers. So think about it. If you clicked on a News Bullet ad unit that wasn't labeled as advertising and you thought that it was an article, and you get to a page and it's a form to fill out for refinance your mortgage, are you going to be upset?
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm going to do anything about it.
No, but
and it might make me start to think about Lending Tree, so it might be a positive for you.
What you're going to do, though, is you're going to hit your back button.
I'm going to back it on up.
And it's called a bounce. So we
bounce you right out.
Do you believe that some form of industry guideline or regulation is a good thing?
I think the FTC should come out, and I think they have to some extent, saying that native advertising should have clear and conspicuous labeling.
Do you think that it's not clear? And
I think
not
there are
as conspicuous in some places as it should be?
100%. There are companies that are being very misleading.
Who?
I can't say who.
Okay, I had to ask.
But there are, there's definitely several competitors in the space, and there's also individual publishers that are doing native advertising. Mashable, Huffington Post, Hearst. They do a great job with it, and they're very specific about how they label things.
What constitutes a great job?
Labeling your native advertising so that a reasonable person can tell that it's
okay. That's on the labeling front. I was going to say I thought a good job means actually publishing something we might want to read.
Well, that's an obvious, right?